What is up, everybody? Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning. Yeah, I think it's award-winning. That's what we call it. Maybe there's too much sun on my head in the back. Just joking here. Host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 award winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and monthly co-host. No, host. They put me to host now. Host and co-producer of live online conversations for fathers that are sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. We are happy to be here. Happy, again, big shout out as always to BIA Media, who are making this an epic conversation with all the production and all that. You know, Dr. Vibe always likes to have new friends on the Dr. Vibe show. Well, here's a little bit of a switch tonight. This lady I've known for a long time, her and her partner Dave. I've been longtime fans of on what they do, and they, she actually interviewed me about a week or two ago. There I was on a Sunday morning on my porch on my cell phone, getting interviewed by this lady, and then I said, "Well, it's your turn now. We have to get you on." And in the pre-show conversation, there's so much content. There may be 4 parts to this, so just get ready, all right? There's a reason why we call her Esquire. But let me get to the introduction. Simone Jennifer Smith, Esquire. Her great passion is using gifts that have been given to her to help her educate her clients on how to live meaningful lives. With over 15 years experience in the mental health field, Simone is aware of her responsibility for ensuring that the company complies with its obligations relating to health, safety, and the welfare of the community. The Here to Help team consists of powerfully motivated individuals who, like Simone, see that there's a need in this world, a need for real connection. As founder and director of Here to Help, Simone leads a team that goes out into the common community day to day, serving families with their educational, legal, and mental health needs. As the chief reporter and operating manager at the Toronto Caribbean newspaper, and please go check it out. And as her role as a host on the TCN Network, she knows giving back is an important part of the relationship between content creators and the community. Here's a quote she gave us: "Depression, anxiety, and mental stress have a severe impact on the educational process. It's crucial that when we work with our clients, we take the whole person into account. Learning does not happen in a vacuum," unquote. Simone Jennifer Smith, Esquire, is with us tonight. Simone Jennifer Smith, what is going on?
I was jamming to your song.
Is that true what I just read?
Yeah, man.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. Which part?
Well, all of it.
All of it is true.
And if people are watching this on mute, you think I'm talking to Angela Davis. I'm just going to leave it at that. And if you don't know who Angela Davis is, you need to know. You need to know.
Pop in. Yes.
Absolutely. You need to know. And as you can say, Simone and I, we have a good friendship, very supportive of what she does. She works so hard, very, very hard. And Dave, her partner, works so hard that I've made a little bit of a commitment to amplify the great work they do. So that's why I have her on. She'll be on for a few conversations about her. I'm going to see if I can bring her into some other conversations, because you need to know about this lady and her partner, about the great work and the great service they're bringing to the world.
Are you going to keep calling me lady?
No, I'm going to call you Esquire. What do you want me to call you, lady or Esquire?
Not lady, please.
Okay, Esquire. Simone. As we do for new friends on the Dr. Vibe show, give us a little histoire, where you grow up. And actually, one of the things you brought up before we went live about your parents, I'm going, what? So where you grow up? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I grew up actually here I was born and raised in Scarborough, Ontario.
That's where I live.
Yeah, Scarborough, big up myself, 16 years.
Okay, what intersection?
Markham and Eglinton.
Okay, I'm Warden in 401. I don't want to get too detailed because you never know with people these days.
People show up at your door like Dr. Vibe.
Yeah, they got to be desperate if they're showing up at my door, honey.
So born and raised in Scarborough, Ontario. I've actually lived a few places. We moved to Mississauga, my parents, when I was about 16. And then I lived in Windsor for about 10 years on and off.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's funny because I came back to Toronto to live in 2009. And by then, everyone had lived their 20s out. I didn't live my 20s in Toronto. I lived my 20s like in Detroit, Chicago.
What?
I wasn't even here, Windsor. I was out there. I was in the States a lot. Like I didn't grow up. I didn't do my 20s in Toronto. So it's why sometimes when people see me, they're like, well, where the hell did this girl come from? And like, I've been around. It's just, I was doing my thing elsewhere. So my upbringing, both my parents are ministers. You're going to ask something. Go ahead.
Yeah. Why did the parents go down to the States?
They didn't. I did.
Oh, rebel. What was the attraction to the U.S.?
So the attraction actually was just to leave my house.
Okay. Do you want to tell us why you're leaving your yard?
Because my parents are ministers.
That's what I thought.
That's why. Okay. As soon as I got back 3 replies from universities. Okay. U of T.
Yep.
I think it was McGill.
Yep.
And Windsor.
Yep.
So I looked at the proximity to my home.
Runaway child, running wild, runaway. That's an old song.
I was like, Windsor, yeah, check mark. I'm heading there. So that's how I ended up in Windsor. I went to Windsor University. And while I was there, to be honest with you, Windsor has always been like a second home to me. It's the place that even to this very day, when I get stressed out in Toronto, I will just go to Windsor and completely disappear. Like phone lock off. No one can find me. If I ever disappear, I'm probably in Windsor.
You know, and I know a number of Black Canadians, African Canadians that went to university in Windsor. Actually, my younger brother went to university in Windsor. And from the day he left, he's never come back to live in Toronto.
It's hard. Listen, in Windsor, everything was 10 minutes away. Everything. Yeah. It's a very quiet, and plus, like people are like, oh, it's a quiet town, it's a small town. I'm like, you can see Detroit from
right across the river.
Like, and listen, when you're 19, 20 years old, right? I was just, listen, all kinds of mockery.
And I know you wanted to put another letter, but we'll leave that for the imagination. So enjoy. What was life in the States like for you?
You know what? A lot of my growing experiences. It's interesting because I think it's why when I first came back here, I started working right away in the Jane and Finch area. And oddly enough, it was just because it was really comfortable for me. I don't know why, but I don't know if anyone's been to Detroit. People talk about the hood here in Toronto. I'm like, you haven't seen no hood.
Detroit
hood.
Right. Like, and for people who are not Torontonians, can you just describe Jane and Finch? It doesn't compare to Detroit, but the Jane and Finch area in Toronto.
So the Jane and Finch area is supposed to be like this terrible area. And I'm not saying terrible things don't happen there, but it's a community like everywhere else. It just has a high population of us. That's it. There's just a very high population. And the thing about it, it's because Canada is so multicultural, we have people from all countries in Africa, Somalia, Nigeria, like everyone is in one area. We have West Indians, we have your Caribbeans that are there too. So it's just a mash and mix up of us, the African diaspora, in one area. Unfortunately, sometimes things from back home can come here. A lot of the things that are happening with these shootings, people don't understand that that's tribal. Some of that goes back to like where they're from. People don't get that. They think it's just people up here. No, some of that stuff is tribal too. They don't know that this is just because you're bringing so much to one area, things are going to happen, right? Sure. But in comparison to Detroit, now, there is no hood like a Detroit hood. Maybe more.
Did you ever fear for your life living in Detroit?
Sometimes. There were times that I put myself in some silly situations, but it was just a part of growing up, man. Like, it allowed me to walk fearlessly into certain situations that I've been in. If all of your experiences are always leading you up to that experience in the future, all of them. And that's how my life has played out. Every single one of my experiences, whether bad or good, has led me to a place where I'm like, I'll look back at it and be like, that's why I was in that house party when it got shot up.
And how many heart attacks were you giving your parents during this time?
You know what? Okay, so real talk.
Yeah.
They didn't know about anything. They got their heart attack 10 years after, because what tends to happen is sometimes the things you sow in your 20s,
Mm-hmm.
in your 30s.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened to me. So they just had one massive heart attack because it was like a compilation of everything that I'd done in my 20s. They didn't know anything about. Again, for me, I always got really good grades. I've always been a student. I'm a
Congratulations.
student. Yeah, I've always, like, doing well in school is something that God just gifted me with. It's with a mind.
Did your parents instill that in you, or is that something you just generated yourself?
So my parents, my family, especially on my mom's side, there's a lot of pressure because a lot of my uncles on my mom's side, like most of them have really high ranking positions. I have like 4 cousins who are doctors. That's all on my mom's side. So
wow.
Yeah, there's like everyone, people right now, I haven't gotten my PhD. I have 4 more years until I get my PhD. And my family's just like, so what's taking you so long?
What's the hold up?
I'm like, money. Okay, money's the hold up. But no, like it was always education was always something that was just easy for me. I could not try and get a C. And I mean, not trying meant skipping classes, going to visit on all type of foolishness in high school. And I would still, you wanted the truth. So I would.
I know, what I want is the yearbooks, but keep on going.
But I would still bring home excellent marks. And the same thing happened to me when I went to university. For them, all they needed to see was when I showed them that transcript that had, 4.0, 4.0. That's all to them, they were like, fantastic. As
long as the grades were good, everything was good.
That's all that mattered to them. I was pretty much a straight A student through most of high school, most of my elementary. Yeah, man, I love learning. It started at a young age. My mom can tell you that she would sometimes come in when I was supposed to be taking a nap. She'd come in and find me huddled up with like a book, just trying to like get with the lights on, the kids under the thing with a book, just trying to like keep reading.
Wow.
That's always been me. So
what discipline did you take in university? What did you study?
Oh, psychology.
Why?
So I dealt with a lot of traumatic experiences at a very young age. And probably the one that set it off for me was watching my grandmother lose her mind. My grandmother had schizophrenia. And this is a woman who, when she first came to Canada, I remember her, she was a very strong woman. She's a Jamaican woman, so she was strong, and she used to take care of me and my brother all the time. And it was rough to watch somebody. She lost her mind. I watched my grandma like legit go crazy. And I said to my mom, at the age of 16, I knew what I wanted to be. At the age of 16, I said, Mom, I want to go into psychology. I didn't even know where the word came from. I don't know how I'd seen it. But I said, Mom, if I'm ever going to lose my mind, I want to know that it's happening. And that's what started for me. That was my beginning. And it's always, for me, mental health is a part of my life. I used to have to go see my grandmother get shock treatment. I don't know if anyone remembers.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Me, my brother, my mom, my dad would have to go down to the when hospitals had like a mental ward. That's what they would call it. So my grandma had to go at least once a month to get shock treatment. So I'm witnessing this at 11, 12 years old, right? Like it's very impactful on you because again, I'm seeing people, the things I saw there, it just didn't, to me, it didn't make sense. I couldn't grasp why these people were acting like this. Like why are they not acting like me? And my parents tried their best to explain it, but they were having a rough time. My dad was having a rough time. It was my dad's mom. And he was having a rough time accepting the fact that his mom, this woman who raised him, was losing her mind. Like there are times we'd come home and she'd be gone. She'd be wandering up the streets because she had Alzheimer's too. So it was, it was both. So I watched her lose her mind and I watched her forget me. She forgot who I was. The only person she remembered was my dad. Wow. She would forget who I was. So we watched that and it was very, very traumatic for my family. But my parents got firsthand experience with mental health. And from then, for me, it was a wrap. That was it for me. I said, I'm learning this. I'm going to study the mind. I need to know why people get into these situations. How do they end up in a place where they're not themselves, right? And it's crazy.
Going into taking that in school and university, how many other Black students were there?
A handful. A handful. By the time I got to my master's year, I was 3 of 45 people in my master's program.
How many?
3 of 45. And by the end of the year, there was only 2 of us.
What kept you going? Was it that experience you had with your grandmother that kept you going? Because I'm sure at times I'm making an assumption. Let me pull back. Was it easy for you?
It was school. So again, and this is the importance of why I tell young people to do what you love. It doesn't matter who tells you that they don't like it. Parents or not, do what you love. Because I loved it so much, that's what kept me going. It was my love for the study of human human behavior. Absolutely. And then, of course, I was going through my own stuff because I dealt with some other traumatic experiences when I was a child. So I wasn't able to work a lot of those out into my master's year. In my master's year, you had to have a therapist, because you have to have a therapist to give therapy. Because what happens sometimes in therapy is you sometimes work out your trauma with people, and you're not supposed to do that. So they tell you, you've got to find somebody that you can speak to when you're dealing, because you can get triggered by people. There can be transference and counter-transference. You have to be very mindful when you're working with people. So it was a great, my master's year was an intense 1.5-year program. Nearly killed me, I'll tell you, because I was working at a hotel. I worked night shifts from 11 p.m. till 7 in the morning, and I had class at 9. So I had class all day from 9 until 4. Then I had a practicum that I had to go to because I had clients. I had to do my practicum and I think it was 400 hours that I had to get. So yeah, my life was just like this. And the only thing that kept me going was my love for the practice, my love for psychology, my love for learning about people and behavior.
Was there ever a time that you said, you know what, I can't do this anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
The only reason I stopped was because I was hit with a situation that I couldn't continue. I should have had my PhD by now. Honestly, I'm surprised it did take me this long, but not really when you hear, when you know my life circumstances, you know why. Just, I couldn't do it, but yeah. I should have.
Wow. Parents have been supportive about this, all you taking the psychology thing all through?
Oh, absolutely. My parents, again, it was what I loved. And honestly, I'm stubborn. So if they didn't like it, I probably would have done it anyways. I am that rebellious.
Yes. I mean, I know that.
100%. The PK, that whole PK thing, that's me. But they're proud of me. Again, I'm doing what I did. I did what I was supposed to do. I was with West Indian parents, Caribbean parents. They want to see grades.
Hey, you don't have to tell me. My father, teacher in the same public school for 38 years.
So you get it.
All
they want to see is your grade. So they look on the page, they see them A's, and they're like, right? In my master's program, I ended up with a 3.9 out of a 4.0. And the only reason I ended up with a 3.9 was because I got cocky on an assignment and I didn't read it properly and I didn't do it correctly. And the teacher took the marks off because of that, and it dropped me to a 3.9. I was so cheesed. So mad. But you know what? Lesson learned, because guess what? After that, anything that I put in front of me, I read it thoroughly, because I do not want to miss out on something that's going to cost me. So it's all about lessons.
Do you know how great a quality that you just mentioned about being detailed?
Yes. Detailed oriented to the core, to the core. Okay. And it didn't help because when I came back in 2009, I worked with 2 Asian doctors for 9 years. the International Network of Personal Meaning. So they're two strong leading psychologists in meaning therapy, the two largest meaning psychologists in meaning therapy in Canada, pretty much the world, Dr. Paul and Lillian Wong. So you've got to understand something. I got out of school and then I was put in an environment, and with the Asian culture, they're detailed. So they whip me into shape. Trust me, like as detailed as I was then, once I worked with Dr. and Paul Wong, that was it. They made sure they cleaned up all my edges.
Wow.
They made sure that I was on point.
What brought you back from the States to Canada?
So I was living in Windsor. I just spent a lot of time in the States.
Okay.
I bought a home in Windsor. I went to school in the States, and I partied in the States, and I shopped in the States, and had money in the States, and
everything was the States.
Everything was in the States. Okay. What brought me back to Toronto is, I believe there was a huge crash. I think there was like a recession for a hot minute back in that time, around 2008.
2009. Yep.
Right. And Windsor went down. There was no jobs. I couldn't stay there. I realized I had to come home, right? Like I couldn't support my living up there. I had the house, but I couldn't pay my mortgage because I didn't have a job. Wow. So I had to come back to Toronto and make it work.
If the recession didn't happen, would we still see you in Toronto, you think?
You know what? I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know. I was so detached from Toronto that I didn't feel the urgency. Again, I'd set up shop. I bought my home, like I'd set up shop in Windsor. I was fine with my life.
Was it hard to come back to Toronto?
Yes.
What was so difficult?
I had to move back in with my parents. Guy, that's terrible.
the ministers. All right.
I'm a big, dirty 30-year-old woman, live her life, party, I drink, I do this, come out when I want, and I have to come back into this guy? Look at this. Crosses and Jesus.
I'd love to have your parents on. This would be so good. It'd be so good.
They would curse me out. But honestly, it was tough, man, because I had to come back and behave myself. And I'm like, behave myself? I'm 30 years old. I can do what I want. I pay my own bills. Not in your parents' house, you don't. Doesn't matter how old you are. Go sit down in the basement. Wash him out. It was an experience, nevertheless.
So how did you restart coming into Toronto? What did you do to get going up the hill again?
Okay, so that most definitely I was doing that work with Dr. Paul Lillian Wong. That was probably a way to continue with my psychology, because in order to be a psychologist here in Canada, and this is something that international students really need to understand, even though I had done my master's program in the States, in Canada, it meant nothing.
Nothing, yep.
Okay, yep. It was a hard lesson learned again, which would mean I would have to start back from the beginning here, pretty much. Well, not from the beginning, but like I'd have to start back. I'd have to go back and like almost redo my master's.
Man, ouch.
And then I would have to join some organization, money kings, politics, right? And I'm so stubborn. I was like, bun you guys. I ain't paying for nothing. I'm not joining your local organization. I'm going to figure it out by myself. So easiest thing I could do alongside my work with Dr. Wong is I started to teach. One thing I've always been good at is I'm a writer. So English has always been something that I've excelled in. It's an easy subject for me, right? It's very easy. So I started initially working. Hi, Suzette.
Yes, the Esquire fan club is in the house.
Love you, Suzette. I appreciate you. Yeah, I started working for this East Indian gentleman, and he ran a tutoring program out of Tandridge in Toronto. And I noticed as I was going to these families he was sending me to is that they were all Black, right? And he was charging some ridiculous prices and giving me little money. And I was the one doing the driving around. I was the one creating the lesson plan. And I was like, bro, first of all, the families all loved me. They all loved me.
What's not to love?
Right? Well, there's some things not to love, trust me. Well, ain't all good. I'll tell you, I'll be the first person to tell you that. But no, the families, when it comes to my professionalism and my work, yes, there's not much not to love about that. When it comes to my profession and my career and what I have to do, I don't play. That's
no,
one
you
thing
don't.
Plays a lot with my business. Not
Exactly.
that. But eventually I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do this on my own. I'm going to do this on my own. Because I'm like, you know, this man is ripping off my community and I'm doing all the work. So I told them all nicely. I was very, very cordial. I said, listen, guys, they'd ordered a certain amount of classes. I said, this is my last class with you. If you want to catch me again, I will be opening up my own thing. And
nice.
for that was it. Here to help again.
Where did the name come from and how did it come about?
So Simone in Hebrew means to hear.
What does Esquire mean in Hebrew?
Esquire. No, so it's interesting when you're named something, and this is why it's even important for people to look at their names and the meaning of their names.
Very important. Very important.
Do this because you have to understand, I have been predestined to do the work that I'm doing. My parents named me Simone only to find out that it means to hear. And what is my profession? Psychology. What does a therapist do? They listen. They hear. And they don't just hear with their ears. They hear with everything. When I'm listening, when I'm sitting in front of somebody, Dr. Vibe, I hear I'm seeing their movements.
You're laser.
Yes.
Laser. I've noticed that you're very laser focused, and it probably intimidates some people too.
Yeah, it does but it's because I want to make sure that I'm able to detect. And again, when I'm working with someone, not everything someone says is the truth. And you have to be able to pick through that because people will try to bullshit around their therapy. They want to bullshit around their bullshit. You understand? So you got to cut that and just be like, look, okay, I feel you, but let me hold up a mirror to you so you can see what you're saying. You're saying this, but you're acting like this. So this is why when I say listen, I listen to people think they have me fooled. I'm just
no. They're barking up the wrong tree.
I learned how to play the ass years ago. Trust me, 9 times out of 10, I am playing the ass, but it's okay because I want people to feel that way. Think that they have me fooled. It's okay, do that. But anyhow, here to help, Simone to help, here to help. Wow. That's how it came to be.
And what were the first few years like of that?
Okay, so interestingly enough, my first year in business, which is 2012, was amazing. I went from having 3 families to 30 families in about 2 months.
What?
Once I was working with the Somalian community, and in that community, when one person knows
you're good, bang.
So this mom told this mom, and that mom told that mom, and that mom told that mom, and they just kept telling people about how great. So by the second month, I had to hire help. And for a while, it was just me and this young lady. She was such a blessing. I to this day, I miss her. Her name is Chanel. Just a beautiful person. I handled the English and she handled the math. And between the two of us, in about 4 months, we went to 60 families.
Oh my, did you sleep?
No. And did I mention I also was doing a management position in Vaughan for a gentleman who, I had clients. He wanted me to manage his business when he was in Costa Rica. He needed someone who would put down the whip when he wasn't here. Of course, he chose me to do this, but
okay.
He chose me to do that. So I was doing that in the day. And at night I was tutoring from 4 till about 9 p.m. And I would do that back to back. And I was also working with the Wongs. So I was doing work with them as well. So I've always done a lot. It's just been in my nature. I do a lot. So that's for the first, I would say, year of my business, off the chain. The best. I honestly think I just had that story. It's like, I should have known something was going to go wrong. It was too good. It was too good. Life was blessed. Things were good. Very good.
Where do you get your hard work from? Your hard work drive from?
Parents, Both of them. Both of them. My mom was in the financial industry for 30-something years. I remember my mom not only working, but within the financial industry, anyone who knows that they have to take exams every now and then to update,
Yep.
right? So my mom at the age of like 40, 45, 50 was staying up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, preparing for exams. And I would see the stress she was in. Sometimes she'd be like emotional about it because it was tough. Like sometimes she would take something and fail and have to take it again. And she would do it. She wouldn't stop. So that's just where I get it from. My dad's a hustler. My dad's a pimp. So my dad.
Go on.
Listen, anyone in the Mississauga, Brampton area knows my dad because you will see my dad out at the age of 7. My dad is a singer and he will make his CDs and go on the road and sell them. He will walk up to anybody. Do you know how many times my dad's walked up to people who they're like, Evangelist Smith, you just sold us a CD. It's like, it's all right. You can buy another one. I watched my parents just push and work hard their entire life to be in a position where, again, my parents are chilling right now. They live mortgage free. My parents don't have a mortgage. They're chilling right now. They have no over expenses. They're living the life that most people want to live. And it just took some hard work. Me, I don't want to take that long, but different strokes for different folks, different time.
Absolutely. So you said the first year of Here to Help was great. What happened? Where did the turn happen where the success was not looking so rosy?
So I'll definitely tell people this. When you get a second, I'm actually telling that story in my column, A Better Tomorrow, in the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. It's been interesting. So some people know and some people don't know. I was actually incarcerated for a wee bit of time. So,
Part 6, go on.
Right? So that experience, again, even set me up. I'm going to say this. It set me up for COVID like you would not believe. You wouldn't. I guess that might be something I have to talk about later. But
yep.
Lessons learned. I guess out of everything, I'd say this. When your parents say to you, watch the company you keep?
Yep.
Please, young people, if you guys watch this, just please listen.
Hold on. Don't say just people. Don't just say young people. Because you and I know people ain't young. They're not keeping good company, right?
Yeah, you're right. People, watch the company you keep, okay? Because me being where I was all because I was in the wrong company. And what's messed up about my situation is that I paid for everything that I had done in my 20s, in my 30s. My 30s were a mess. From the time I turned 31, so I ended up in Panama. I was in a Panamanian prison. I know, eh?
So when are you planning to do the reality show?
Never. I'll do this.
Write a book?
I'm kind of writing it right now, I guess.
No, this needs to be in. We'll talk offline. You go on.
Okay, we'll talk offline. Yeah.
Panama.
It's Panama. Ooh. I was on my way back from my trip in Costa Rica, and I was with my boyfriend at the time. His name was David, interestingly enough. And when we got to Panama, we were doing a layover, and when we got to the gates, I just remember seeing a whole bunch of officers. They looked like security guards, and I didn't think too much of it, but I could see that they were checking passports. So they took my passport and looked at it, and looked at me, and they said something in Spanish, and then the person who could speak English came over to me and said, "Simone Jennifer Smith, we are holding you here in Panama for the United States government. You're under arrest." And that was it. I was in Panama.
Was that partly due to the company you were keeping at that time?
No, it had to do with the company I was keeping in my 20s. This is, again, the interesting thing. I had cleaned up my life. this is the part that hurt the most, is that I'd gotten into a lot of shady stuff. I used to hang around a lot of shady people. Again, I was mixed up in the Detroit crowd, and I was doing some things that were not proper. I'm going to be honest.
Yep,
right?
I appreciate that.
And I thought I'd gotten away with it because I hadn't gotten caught at that time. But again, it caught me in my 30s. So you have to understand how messed up that is. You think, in my mind, I thought I'd gotten away with everything. Hands wiped clean. You know what I'm saying? I graduate with my master's. You know, I'm back home, but things are going well. I have my home. People are living in my home. I'm a landowner, not landowner. You know what I'm trying to say? Landlord. Yeah. You know, business is going really well. Remember, business had struck up, so life was good. Money was coming in. Everything was nice. Going on trip here and there and everywhere. And then everything that I'd worked for up to that point,
gone.
One moment was gone. I had to sell my home. I had to get a lawyer. Lawyers ain't cheap.
No, they ain't.
And I had to get an American lawyer. So I was paying American dollars, not no Canadian dollars. Okay. I think the most harmful and hurtful thing about that situation had nothing even to do with me. It had to do with my parents.
That's what I was going to ask.
It was not even me. Like I would have taken the pain on because it was one thing I've always done is hold myself accountable. I am not a scapegoater. I don't put my shit on anybody else. If I get into something, it's because of me. And I'm very hard on myself. People who know me will tell, I will blame myself.
Yep.
Everything happening around me. I will take it upon my shoulders because I refuse to play a victim to my life. Everything that happens, I create it or I destroy it. And in this situation, I destroyed it. So it's one thing that it affected me. It's another thing that it affected them. Because my mom had to do things that she never thought she would have to do. She had just retired. So all this money she had put aside for her retirement.
Wow. Wow.
And now I'm back home on house arrest because I was on house arrest for 5 years. So house arrest meaning I could go to work, I could go and teach, but I had to come right back home. I had to report to my parole officer or my probation officer in Buffalo once a month. I had to do P tests. I had to do all of that. So from 2012 until 2017, all I did, Dr. Vibe, is work because I couldn't
do anything else.
I couldn't do anything. All I could do was work. So I would sit on LinkedIn for hours. I mean, I'd be up sometimes for 24 hours, sometimes just sitting there, just connecting with people, writing, reaching out to people, connecting, writing. And I'm going to take a moment here to big up two people who I don't think people acknowledge enough in the community and may even slight a little bit. And that's Trish and Grant Browning. And the reason that I'm going to big them up right now, because in the middle of all of that, they reached out to me and said, you know what? We see the work that you're doing. We'd love for you to be a part of this. And even when they found out some of my dirt, because I didn't tell them, hey, I'm on my house arrest. No one talks about that.
Not really.
You know what I'm saying? You don't go to your interview and say, hey, nice to meet you. I just got out of prison, you know? And I'm on house arrest right now. You want to hire me? No.
Yeah, come on in.
Right?
No, we don't need to reference check you.
No need. You're fine. What did you do again? You know what I'm saying?
Right? Ball and chain.
Right? But it was actually Trish who reached out to me and she saw my work and she saw my writing. She said, we just started this paper. We'd love for you to be part of it. And this is why I've grown with them the way that I have. Maybe a lot of people don't understand the core of they were there for me when no one else was. And I'm going to state something right now, real quick. I'm going to lean in for this.
No, go ahead.
So this is when, and I'm speaking to my community. There was times when I reached out to people in my community and they didn't want nothing to do with me. Nothing. Grant and Trish, people who are not even really technically in my community, Grant's a white man, so he's really not like, well, he's not black. End of discussion. So yes, he's in the community because he works in the community, but he doesn't identify as racialized, doesn't identify as African. He's European. And Trish is Guyanese. She want to call, she try to say she not brown. Brown girl, you brown, okay? But they reached out to me and they supported me and they gave me an opportunity. They gave me a platform and they didn't try to silence me on my platform. And that's why I'm so appreciative to them, because they, through all of that, even when they found out about my problems, because a letter was sent to them because I put them down as a reference. So Brethren, this is how I got called out. They sent Trish and Grant a letter saying, look, this girl said that she does work with you guys. Is that true? This is the American government asking them. Trish was like, so Simone, a letter came for you.
I wish I would have been there for that moment.
Guy, I didn't even know what to say. Honestly, I just kind of sat there and looked at her, and she looked at me, and Trish was like, look, don't watch that, Simone. People do things. You have a past. It's not who you are now. Just tell me what I need to write. Let me write this reference letter for you so you can get through this. And she wrote it for me.
Wow.
And never hesitated for a minute. They never shunned me. They never turned their back on me. Nothing.
Where would you have been if that didn't happen?
Oh gosh. I'd have my PhD. So I'd probably be a lot further in my life than I am right now. And when I say further, I would say more monetary further. I'd also be in a better place to support the community the way that I want to, because as much as, to be honest with you, I've done my doctorate 14 times over. But in North America, you need to have that piece of paper to make that money. Like, you need to have that doctor in front of your name sometimes in order for people to take you seriously. Even though the work that I do, again, I've done everything that's necessary for a doctorate degree, everything, the practicum. I have hours of community service, undocumented, hours working with families in the community, okay? My work, my research, the research that I've done when I was working with Dr. Paul and Lillian Wong as a research assistant, check, that's done. So I sometimes feel like, you know what? Dave does it. Dave's like, Simone, you're a doctor. Just because it doesn't say you're a doctor, Simone. Don't listen to these. You are a doctor. Dr. Simone Jennifer Smith, Esquire.
Thank you. When the day that paper becomes a reality, if Esquire isn't on it, I'm gonna go to the institution and say, look, how much it's gonna cost to get Esquire on this thing? I pay for it.
Esquire. But no, I think that's probably the biggest thing is I would be where I would have finished that. And it's very important to me. That the only two things left in my life that I haven't done is have my child and get my PhD. When I do those two things, it's over. I'm happy. I've done all the bad things I wanted to do. I've done all the good things I wanted to do. I've lived my life, Dr. Vibe. I'm telling you right now, it's the one thing that I wish for everyone. Live your life, man. Don't live with regrets. Live your life. It's very important. I have lived, trust me.
And then some.
And more. And I'm going to live more.
Yeah, not even some, more. Absolutely. Well, as you can see, Esquire is going to be back for some more conversation because there's about 3 million things that are worth conversations about. Mm-hmm. How has being part of my TCN added to your life?
I would say probably the one thing it's added is the ability to understand media, because media is a beast.
We were talking about that beforehand.
Media is a beast. And if you do not understand the beast, it will swallow you up. So just as an example, COVID-19. Do you know, Dr. Vibe, that I started talking about COVID-19 in January and nobody would listen? In February, I sent out a community press release saying to my community, listen, guys, so there's this thing happening in China, right?
Oh, wow.
I think that we need to start gathering our resources because this is going to hit us hard. And remember, we are already in a position where when it hits us, it's going to hit us that much harder than it hits other communities.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So this is February that this was out. Silence. March come now. Still talking about it on my show. I'm letting people know, Dr.VIBE. I'm you know what, with this platform, that's what this platform's for. I need to show the community. I need to reach them and let them know what's going on because I have this background information. I'm seeing things that most people don't see because most people just see the mainstream media and they go with that. They see City TV, CP24, CNN. These are the things that people are watching. And that's where you're getting your news from, not realizing that with every single news post you see, there is an agenda behind it. You've got to understand that. This media wheel is a...
Well, you know, as I say, politicians and media love one thing, especially fear.
Yes. They love emotion. They use emotion. Listen, they will use your emotions to destroy you, which is why it was so important with TCN that I get the message because I wanted us to prepare for it emotionally first. Understand that this is about to happen and then prepare for ourselves for it in every other way, economically, psychologically. I want us to be prepared. When March hit, actually, I had someone in the community tell me, Simone, because I brought up, you know what, we should probably start doing some food drives, start putting things together for the community, start getting things organized. All these larger organizations, we should start stocking food. This is what I put out. Someone told me that I should just stay in my lane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because all that is a whole venture and you don't want to get into that, Simone. I think it's a little bit early for you to talk about that. You know what? Just do what you do. Report. You just stay there and do that. Okay, no problem. This is why when March 15th lick and people are out there buying all type of toilet paper, even though we live in Canada where one of our natural resources is pulp.
Paper.
It's just like, really, guys? Really? And again, it's like even that ignorance. Why? Because the media said for that you need to buy toilet paper. Anyways, I was prepared. I was ready.
We're winding down rather fast, and you've had a long day. So I'm going to ask you, in your final thoughts here, what has COVID done? What kind of impact has it had on the Black community through your eyes?
Unfortunately, it has kind of put us back into this state of victimhood because now we are all talking about being disenfranchised, where we're wondering why the government is not giving us money, even though we're dealing with all of this suffering. And I think to that, I would say this. I hope that COVID has taught us that the only people who are going to really be there for us is us. And we really need to get that through our heads. We don't need to be begging people for nothing. We shouldn't have to. We have so much money, spending power within our community. A lot of the things that we're asking for, we shouldn't even be asking for. And it sucks that we are. It sucks that we have to beg for money from people who don't care about us. Let's be real. They don't. This is why in homeless shelters, which were mostly Black, people are dying off and contracting COVID because they're not even honoring the proper bed space because they don't care. In long-term care, in a lot of these old homes, these nursing homes, again, things being ignored. Essential workers getting sick, bringing that home. Who are most of the essential workers, guys? Us. These are things that shouldn't have been happening. They don't care. This is why we can't depend on them. We can't be in this dependency model. And that's the only thing I think that I've watched is this dependency and this, we're the victim again. We're not no damn victims. We got money. We just need to spend it better. That's all. We need to invest.
I'm going to have you come back and talk about probably a whole hour about mental health in the Black community. But I'd like you to, from again, your eyes, what effect has COVID had on Black mental health?
Oh boy. So a lot of the people that I speak to, I think the number one thing that happened, especially in the first part of it, was this adjustment to being locked down. Mind you, this lockdown was like joy to me. Remember, you're talking to someone who was in actual lockdown. So this lockdown that people were feeling, I could empathize because I got what it felt like to have your freedoms stripped from you and what that can do to your mind. It's a terrible thing. Honestly, I don't even think it was just a Black thing. I think it was like everybody. This is one thing when it comes to mental health that affects everyone, maybe in different ways because we do deal with some issues that other communities do not.
Right.
But I think for us, a lot of it was obviously the big ones: depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. For families who are living in abusive situations, I can only imagine toxic homes. There was a lot going on in our community, man. Food security.
That's a big one.
Right? Your brain can't work without food.
Yeah, that's a big, big, big one. And it's interesting because the food security piece, there are organizations that are giving food away, but a lot of the challenge they can't get any volunteers to do the delivery.
Interesting. I don't have that problem.
No, there's an organization I know of there. They can't get the volunteers to do the delivery of the food, which is...
It's disheartening. It is disheartening. But you know what? Maybe we can talk about, because I would send people your way. No problem. That volunteers have not been an issue with the work that we're doing. We're doing some work in Scarborough right now. Spice it up. We have a food bag every Wednesday, and our volunteers are like clockwork.
Wow. I'm going to end off with this, since we're going to at least do part 6. Tell me 3 things that you're doing in your life right now that you can't stand.
Procrastinating.
Yeah.
Worrying.
Mm-hmm.
I guess fear, being fearful. I guess I'd be the same as worrying though.
That's all right. Then tell me 3 things in your life right now that you absolutely love that you do.
I'm very affirm. I use my words to be my power. I affirm everything. I speak wealth, positivity, health, maturity into my life. That's 1. I'm grinding. Yeah, man, I'm working. I'm still working hard. I'm still pushing. Even when doors get slammed in my face, I'm like, it's okay, no problem. And I am spreading my wings. This Saturday, I'm going to be speaking at a conference on mental health in South Africa.
Whoa, congratulations.
So I'm spreading my wings internationally. I'm coming out of my little bubble here in Toronto. And
did someone say that to you a few years ago?
Come on. My brethren, DR.VIBE.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Just one.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's you. That's all you. You said, Simone, spread your wings, girl. So I spread my wings. And now I'm speaking outside of my usual circle. And it's the reception has been amazing. This is going to be my 2nd time back, and I have 2 speaking engagements in South Africa this month.
So can I suggest something?
Sure.
Can you make sure you get testimonials, please?
Yes, sir. I will.
Get testimonials.
Yes, sir.
And if you need a template on how to write one, I have one for you.
Can you send that to me, please?
I will.
Thank you.
And even better, if they're really up for it, get them to send a video testimonial.
I think I will do that. Yes. Thank you. I will.
They can record it on their phone or their tablet or whatever and send it to you.
Perfect. Yeah, you're right. You see, you always give me that little bit of and can I say the 4th thing? I'm connecting with the right people.
Okay. I'm saying this out of love. I don't want you to connect with people. I want you to develop relationships with the right people.
Can I connect first and then develop?
No, developing a relationship is a process. I don't like you know me, I don't like words that you hear all the time. Like I can't stand the connect. I can't stand the awesome. Oh my God, I can't stand awesome.
But it's so awesome though.
You're rude. I use outstanding.
I'm developing strong relationships in this moment. Stronger relationships, things that are elevating me.
And you're doing it during a time where the world's gone.
Yes.
Same here.
Ready.
Well, you've had a long day. How can people get a hold of you?
So you can find me everywhere at Simone Jennifer Smith. If you put in Simone Jennifer Smith on Instagram, Simone Jennifer Smith on Facebook, Simone Jennifer Smith on LinkedIn. You can find me in, of course, the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. Just click on Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have articles, I have content everywhere.
Yes.
TCN TV Network.
Yes, you do.
I have content all over the place. My TCN TV Network, content all over the place. I have over 250 videos focused on Black empowerment, Black mental health, Black history. 250 videos, me and Dave. Can you believe that?
You know what? You better tell people who Dave is. They'll go, who's this Dave guy?
The one Rankin. Big up yourself, Dave Rankin. The one Dave Rankin. Everyone knows the Rankin.
Well, hold on a second. I have an international audience. Remember that?
Oh, that's true. Well, you guys don't know Mr. Dave Rankin.
Yet.
He is my co-host. He is my partner. He is my soulmate. He is my co-host, though, on A Better Tomorrow on my TCN TV Network. It used to be called Here to Help You. Definitely check him out. He's a DJ. He's just one of those lights in this world. He brings lightness to my dark because I'm very dark. Well, I'm lighter than him in complexion.
Uh-oh. Look at this. Big up yourself, Dave Rankin.
Did he come in?
Yeah, he just put it.
Oh, big up yourself, Dave. There he is, the one Dave Rankin. And you can find him everywhere at IR Dave Rankin. Dave, change that. You're an English teacher. Stop this. Okay.
Actually, I may have something I may want to have him co-host me. I'm actually in the process of potentially interviewing the tour DJ for a hip hop artist named Rhapsody.
Dave, you hear that? Call DR.VIBE.
But no, yeah, well, I don't got his number yet because you didn't give it to me the other night. You said you're gonna text it, and she didn't know Dave's phone number. You think, but she works hard.
Why are you calling me out, guy, on national Facebook television?
It's national Zuckerberg television. Come on now. It's the ZN, the Zuckerberg network. It's not national Facebook. It's the Zuckerberg
network. YouTube call outs. What's wrong with you?
It's all right. All right. You're going to end up living in South Africa. Everything blows up anyway. So
you're right. Absolutely correct. Thank you.
Esquire, it was an absolute pleasure. It was worth the wait. Thank you and Dave for being the spirit, the positive spirits that you are.
Thank you so much for having me on. I honestly, I didn't know how this was going to be. This was fantastic.
No, but you're just good people.
Thank you.
And Mr. Rankin, your time is counting down before we're getting on here. You can't hide, you know.
He's hiding.
Yeah, I know he's hiding. I know he's hiding from.
He hates the camera.
He hates the camera, but you know what? We're gonna get you here. Even if you can play, you can play your music in the background to make you more comfortable. Right? I know that's the only way I'm gonna get him on if he's playing music.
It's true.
Oh, he says, "Let's do it. I'm ready."
Big talk, say. All right, Rankin, go on with it.
I know you're serious, Mr. Rankin, when you give me your phone number. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, and don't put it in the chat here. You've got my number, Mr. Rankin. You can text it to me.
Text it
to
Rankin.
As I say, you can smell what the clock is ticking.
On the dot.
All right, everybody. As the old song goes by the Staple Singers, and Mr. Rankin, you would know it, we're going to do it again in the very near future. Let's do it again. Yes. Let's do it in the morning. And I only sing by myself in the shower and in the car. So I ain't doing it here, people. I'm going to save your ears. I don't want well, you know, as I said, tonight we had Angela. No, that's not. Angela Davis on. No, I'm just joking. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 award winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I am the host and co-producer of monthly online conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. If you want to find out more about me, easiest place to go is the website, the DR.VIBE.com. And I'd like to say thank you to I am Dave Rankin, known as Dave Rankin, and Suzette Davy Julian, and everyone else who watches live and on the replay. Follow me on the Dr. Vibe show. I've had some great epic conversations lately. Just this past weekend, I was hosting a great panel with Black men. And I was interviewed by a national network, so I'm going to have to post that soon. And for some reason, people are interviewing me soon. So I don't know. Just showing up. Let's say this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And Robert F. Smith, the richest African-American right now, has more money than Oprah, folks. His personal net worth is $5 billion. And he has said during this crisis, don't waste this crisis. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And thanks to BIA Media for revving up the production. Good night, everybody. Stay safe and keep the faith.